It's not
We're
live.
live.
So, hello everyone. I'm going to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves. So, I'll start out with myself. My name is Allison. I am the realtor and team leader for Ellis Group by Key Classic. I'm lucky to have my broker, Lori McKeeby, here. So, we'll go ahead and start off with Lori. Lori, why not tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yes, I'm Lori McKeeby, and I am the broker owner of Key Classic Realty and been doing real estate for 20 years.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we have Jolene with Meets and Bounds title. Jolene, why not tell everyone about you?
Hello, everyone. Once again, I am Jolynn Nicholson with Meets and Bounds Title. We sell title insurance, and I've been doing this, have a real estate background for the past 11 years.
Perfect. And we have our lovely, lovely lender, Ingrid with Pioneer Mortgage.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ingrid Escaño, and I am with Pioneer Mortgage Funding. And my mortgage career is 29 years, and I fell in love. I love it. I love connecting homeowners to their home. It's our common thread in humanity, and everybody wants their home. So it's nice to be part of that.
Awesome. So, Ingrid, while you're talking about that, why not start out by telling us how would you tell someone to prepare that's getting ready to buy their first home?
Savings. Savings, savings, savings. Home ownership is an investment. And like any other investment, you'd like to save and put into that home. The more that you put in, the more that you'll have that home appreciate in value and give back to you in the long run. Um, the an understanding of how credit plays a role for your home ownership is important. It's not to use credit, it's to use credit wisely, demonstrating to your creditors that you have the ability to use their borrowed dollar, pay zero financing fee because you pay it off on the same month that you use the dollar, and then you build your credit score. And at the same time living within your means. Um, Understanding that it's much more comforting to know that you have savings, and like the good statement says, cash is king. um, that all contributes towards that castle, that home. So we do make dreams work within our team, and we love that, and we can. But part of that recipe of success is you and your desire and how far you can dream and what you put forth in that discipline of savings. So it is savings and wise credit use that makes that determining factor for home ownership and making that true.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone want to add anything to what Ingrid just said? No? So, Lori, why not tell us a little bit about how why someone should call you when they're getting ready to sell their home? And what do you, I know that you actually wrote a book, You're Selling Secrets, and a lot of us have been using that, been successful with that. Why not give us some of the tips from your book?
Yes, thank you so much for asking, Allison. Well, first of all, I am more of a consultant for, a lot of times I sit down with my sellers and find out what their goal is, and also try and get what their understanding is of the market. A lot of times they're hearing things that are on in the media, and we want to make sure that we are on the same page realistically. And one of the most important things is the best tip is to price correctly. Because if you price correctly from the beginning, then you're not having to deal with the price drops and the amount of time that your home will sit on the market. What happens is when your home is on the market for a while, the buyers are going to look at that and say, oh, well, now I have the power to negotiate, right? So then they're going to judge your listing and feel that, you know, they're going to get a better scenario for the buyer. So basically you want to price right. That would be my most important message. There are three things, and they've never changed in 20 years. It's the price and the condition and the ability to show the property. So if you have you know, they feel it's a fair market value. A fair market value is today value, not 2020 value, you know. So we have to be really careful about the understanding of what is going on in the market. I use a tool called Focus First, which was created by engineers, which is what helps me be a step above my competition. Is I do a lot of research. I present them with the evidence. So basically, they are well equipped to enter this market at this time. Another thing is the condition. So you have to have the home decluttered. It has to, you know, you want to make it model ready, because who are we competing with? The model homes. So the next thing is you want to make sure that everything is ready to go. And the last is having the ability to show it. You know, you may have to have a same day showing, so you need to have the house ready, have everybody involved and that's in the household. I've heard of parents paying, you know, 25 cents for everything that's picked up off the ground, or, you know, whatever you have to do to get your home show ready. So those are my you know, basics as far as to get your home ready to sell and move. And you just have to have patience, and you have to be able to listen to each other, meaning you and the seller. You always have to listen to the buyer's agents and what their concerns are. So it's really a very different market now, and being able to consult and communicate correctly what is really going on. And we're seeing cancellations, and we're also seeing a rise in price drops. So those are the two conditions that we're having to deal with now. And you have somebody that has experience to navigate through this market. So that's why you should call us.
Awesome. And then Jolyn, you want to give us tell us some frequently asked questions that some of our buyers typically ask you?
Sure. Actually, first off, let me just tell you or the community what title insurance is, because I get it confused sometimes with some other things. And but title insurance, it basically protects the homeowners and, of course, the lenders, if they have to have lenders title insurance, from loss from or defect. Excuse me, loss. Due to defects on the property. So like an example, a couple examples might be liens, clerical errors, back taxes. So it's totally separate than homeowners insurance, but just equally as important. So that is what title insurance is. And some of the things that we struggle with our buyers is giving us the information we need, right? It's kind of a scary time because, and I'm sure, you know, lenders have the same issue, that they have to give us the information we need to grant them the closing or get the title insurance and all of our paperwork together. So just letting them know and letting real estate agents know to let your clients know that we are going to be reaching out to them and asking for questions. If it's a seller and the property's in an LLC, a trust, or anything other than just their name, we need backup, right? Proof of that, right? We need to see that paperwork. Also, some things that we struggle with sellers, not only buyers, but more likely sellers, is that when they sell their property, and if it's in an LLC or some other name other than their own, it has to go back to, that is the person selling the property. So the money has to go back to that person, to that account. It can't go into just a generic checking or savings account. So they need to realize that as well. And I think real estate agents knowing that can kind of help, speed that little process along, letting them know that we're going to be asking that's a requirement. As far as I have some notes here, let's see, buyers, we're going to ask them how they want to take title, right? Do they want to take it in their name? Do they want to take it in an LLC? Do they want to take it in a trust? So just things like that. We don't give information on how they should take title. They would have to go to their lawyer for that. But we definitely will put it in something like that if they request it. So I think that's some of our challenges, is just making sure that people realize that we are going to be reaching out and asking questions that might seem a little personal, especially if there's a death or a marriage or a divorce. These are things that we have to ask, and we have to have answers to those questions.
If you don't mind, I think this is so important, Jolene, to elaborate on the difference between Florida showing tenants in common or joint with the right of survivorship. Right?
Yep.
So for those that may not be in the marriage contract, right? Mm-hmm. But they are definitely in the house contract and deed and title and everything is joint. When one passes, and how that leaves the implications on title and the estates and the heirs and that forward, many may just stop at tenants in common or joints, and don't realize afterwards what the repercussions are if one is to pass and the heirs are still there. Yeah. So that is such a big information block for them.
I agree 100%. And that's why if you decide as a buyer, you want to put it in something other than your name or something like that, a tenants in common or a trust or whatever, know exactly what comes with all that by talking to the lawyer, right? Because we don't give that advice. Obviously, we're not lawyers. We have real estate attorneys that are underwriters, and they're going to go through that and tell us what to do. But it can cause problems. You're exactly right. And another thing here in Florida is if you're married at the time you got home, and then you divorce while you own the home, and say the wife or husband goes off somewhere, and the one spouse decides to sell it, we have to have permission from the other spouse, husband or the wife, to sell that property. If it's their homestead, if it's an investment property and it's only in their name, that's different. But when it's a homestead property, we have to have permission. So we just need to make sure that people realize that when they say, well, why do you have to contact my spouse? So that is very, very common. Sorry if the relationship isn't great anymore. That does happen a lot, but just so you're aware, or they are aware, that we are going to have to contact them. There are some stipulations. Maybe there was a divorce and the divorce decree states a certain thing, then we would need a copy of that, right? And be able to see what it's stating. But for the most part, we do need permission from the spouse, the divorced spouse, to sell that property.
All right. Good point right there, Ingrid. Thank you so much for that addition. And then Ingrid, can you give us any tips that you would share with anyone that's looking to purchase in the next 5 years? What are some of the loan programs that you also have for first-time home buyers, someone that's looking to buy investment property? We have a lot of investors coming here into the Central Florida market. We also have a lot of folks coming in from up north and also down south, trying to get a piece of our Central Florida market. So how can they purchase their second home here with the least amount of money down?
So ideally, Florida has been placed on the map and quoted in parentheses as the next Dubai. And I have the news article. After COVID and the demonstration of our popularity from the Panhandle down to the Keys, and due to our tax structure, we are very much sought out after. The last time I had a statistic, it was about 1,000 people a day on average move into Florida. So if you don't own now, in 5 years, it will be more expensive. and it is in your best interest to try to make your piece of Florida your own. Whether it is a primary or an investment property, you are looking at a tremendous growth. Investors can buy with as minimum as 15% down, and homeowners on a primary scale can buy with as little as maybe 3% down, but still finance that 3.5% down. So essentially, you would have 101% combined loan to value. Now, does that mean you need no money? Not necessarily. Again, you do need what is thought about as skin in the game, the demonstration to have invested funds in a transaction. When I'm asked about what it takes to close on a property, I've done the numbers, and sometimes it's about 6% of the loan amount. So if you're looking to purchase a property, calculate that you want to have 6 or 10% available for your use to use as a closing down payment and paying cost in this transaction while in the process. The lender, and there are programs that can afford you down payment assistance, but when you're receiving that assistance, you're also maybe fitting into another risk factor of needing the assistance, and therefore interest rates will be a little bit higher than standard. So it's not impossible, because there are programs out there available to encourage home ownership. We are seeing a couple of budget trimmings from our government in Florida that are impacting these programs. I would have to say that, yes, it is possible to purchase a home with down payment assistance up to 101% financing, but you still have to demonstrate your ability to maintain this home. You can't have a statement. The statement doesn't fit to say, I have no money, I have no savings, but I want my house. That negative, and positive do not equate to the keys to your house. You must have something to show that you can demonstrate the ability of repayment of this home, the ability of disciplined savings for this home. But there is a home for everybody. We can finance any type of property, so as long as the criterias fall into place, such as having, credit that is good, having savings that are good, having employment that is good. I'm using the word good because it's not perfection or stellar or excellent. It's good. You can have an employment of 2 years and still find your home within your budget. And if it is your starter home, then it comes back to the real life of Monopoly. And that's why Monopoly is behind me, because that is life. That is owning properties and starting with the first one and moving on to the second one. I think an ideal strategy for a first-time home buyer looking to be an investor is to look at a duplex, live in half on one side of the property while you rent out the other side of the property. But again, have the income, have the credit, and have a down payment to qualify for that. Free plus free plus free does not equal home. You must have some demonstration of your own investment into your home.
What's the lowest credit score that you need to have, Ingrid, to be able to purchase?
We can go down to 500, and that's really the lowest score on the scaling system. But with that 500, you must have the floater that pulls you out, right? And that is something that compensates for that score. And that would be assets or employment and low expenses on a monthly basis. So to level out the scales, if I have a 500, I still have a very good down payment. I still have a very good employment record, but something has to level where the other one doesn't have. We can finance one day out of bankruptcy. We can finance with no credit, no income, no assets. The question is not, do I qualify? The question is more along the lines of, do you like what you qualify for? And often people will say, oh my God, no. But you accept a credit card at a 30% interest rate, and we may not even flinch at that. And we accept other expenses that, a car payment that's exorbitant or whatnot, and you may not flinch at that. So when you look at what is your home and it is your investment, and you average that your home has a 5 to 6%, maybe even 10% increase on a yearly basis, you have to see that your investment is worth it. So if your interest rate is 10% on a 30-year loan, and your down payment is 30%, because you are a gig worker and you don't have that steady employment to document with a W-2 and a pay stub and a corporate office and so forth, but you have the income coming in because a gig worker is a DJ, and it is a person who earns an entrepreneurial type of living, but is not standard quo to a 9 to 5 corporate W-2. You still qualify. You just may have to have the savings. So again, the puzzles are not do I qualify? It's, do you like what you qualify for? South Florida and in general, entrepreneurs, we benefit, or those benefits from many tax advantages, and that is great. There's no negative in that statement. However, because of those tax advantages, we have different ability to repay methods to prove, and it's not that different than what you think is an FHA loan or a conventional loan. The math just moves the numbers from one column to another. You still have the ability to own your home. You just understand that that's your math. You may have a little bit of a higher down payment, but that's the math that you have for being an entrepreneur and benefiting from the tax breaks that you have.
So Ingrid, for someone that's looking, I know that you have a 100% financing program in place. What's the lowest credit score that you would need to be able to finance at 100%?
640.
I know it would not be 500.
640.
640.
And what the bank uses as a debt to income expense ratio is maxed at 40. So that means that 40% of your total expenses cannot exceed your income. And that's not often the fact, because you accepted a credit card for 10% off at the cashiers, and all of a sudden that has a higher payment. Or you are in school and you have student loans that are now due. So in the economic environment that we are in today, there is a severe amount of debt being carried. And because of that, the banks have come up and tailored different type of loan programs. And you may not be able to have 100% financing because you're in a different type of loan program. And therefore, you'd have to have savings to have to.
What about the 1% down?
And the 1% down, it allows you to purchase if you are not earning more than 80% of your median income. And you must be a first-time home buyer. So that means that you have not owned a property in the last 3 years. You do not appear on the title of your parents' property as an owner, because that took away the ability for you to be a first-time home buyer. So every decision has a repercussion, and it's a ripple effect. The best advice I have is to always consult with the professionals and ask, what am I not asking that I don't see? You can't see what you don't know. So what is the repercussion of, this decision, that decision, and how should I proceed? I have consulted with clients and advised them because of what they've done in the past. This is where they qualify. But if they follow this instruction, they'll qualify next year for this, and they've come back. And for me, that's just quite pleasant to see that somebody actually followed and heard that. I also do have a very new program on the market, and when I say new, it is new. It is an FHA, an FHA loan made for self-employed Floridian borrowers. That means that you have to have an entity established in Florida for a minimum of 2 years to prove that you are self-employed. You are then requesting to prove to the bank your profit and loss statements for the last 2 years and the current year to date. That is a 3.5% down payment. That is pretty phenomenal. But your interest rate is not what an FHA prime loan would be. Your interest rate is risked according to that. So you may be at a 7.75, and then you have what I call the Google effect. But Google said the interest rates are, and the fine print said the qualifying for that interest rate is that very fine print. The cost may be, the credit score may be, the requirement may be. So Google is not the all-in source of it all, right? Everybody has a different tailored financial profile, and our team effort is to make sure that we build that financing for you and that property for you, and advise you accordingly on title, on what benefits for you, and you're fully supported.
Perfect. So in the buyer's market right now, of course, I think the median sales price is about $385,000 the last time I looked, about a week ago. Lori, what are you seeing on the seller's end? How long is it taking to sell properties on the seller's end?
Yeah, it depends on the market. We serve several markets here in Central Florida. There are some where, you may run a report and they have 9 months of inventory. So it very much depends on the actual market that you're looking in. Claremont, we're very fortunate because we are a very hot city. Everybody wants to be here, so we're grateful for that. And we're at about, I'm going to say 439 around that price point. Mm-hmm. And we're probably between 4 to 6 months inventory, and it just depends on the price point. And as you know, we also do luxury listings as well, and those could take up to a year depending on the price point and all of that. And I was going to say, Ingrid, you have the Google effect. Well, we have the Zillow effect, where they may look at their price on Zillow, and they're saying that this is what it says, and their Zestimate is really that. It's just they wait for realtors to input their information, and then that's how they come across the price. So it's really important that you find a realtor that is very in tune to the market and knows what's going on and can give you a very valid price point.
I think the statement, it was a very powerful statement to state that the value of the property upon listing is important. To burn that property in its time, it grows stale like the bread, overpriced and overlooked. So it is always ambitious to list a property at the higher end, right? And I respectfully get that. But to burn the property out by overlisting it is equally as heavy in the negative impact. It is condition of the property. It is upgrades. I think the conversation I've had is my neighbor, sold for 1.2, And I'm like, oh, okay. But your neighbors completely upgraded from the nails on the wall to the paint on the roof. It's been done to the nines. And your house is maybe a little stuck in the 90s or early 2000s, and the wear and tear is a little heavy. So I wouldn't be at 1 million. I'd be more around, an even 700. Oh, but no. Okay. It's an opinion and everybody has one. I'd like to say I'm a professional. I stay in my lane. I do financing. I can advise them. If asked about my opinion, we evaluate comps.
Mark Glazer.
But that's where I can go, and realtors really do a disjustice to we all do a disjustice if we don't present the facts that are supported. So it is in our interest to just present the facts like it is the nature that is going to best interest the client, not us. I explained some financing to someone today, and I said I could turn your transaction into 3 transactions for my benefit, but that's my benefit. Let me explain to you how it benefits you if we do it in this manner and in this manner, and we just do 2 transactions. And that integrity is what we bring, right? When we inform homeowners how to proceed in what is one of the most important transactions of their life. Having that explained to me in 2017 changed my life on how I viewed my industry, and then fell in love a little bit more after being in it since 1996. I had always thought, it's a closing and it's okay. And it was a very good mentor and speaker who I listened to every word. And he said, we're part of the 5 most important decisions in a human being's life: marriage, divorce, death, and buying a home. I forgot the 5th one, but maybe paying taxes, if that is it. And when you look at home ownership like that, through that eyeglass, you understand how important it is for us to give them the honest opinion. Like it's in their best interest, not ours, what we're looking for, and that'll keep us thriving in the long run, our longevity, right?
I agree. So let's go ahead and turn this over to Jolynn. Jolynn, I'm going to give you open forum to tell us a little bit, share some education with us. I know you've been in the business for quite some time. What would you like to share with anyone that's watching this live today?
Yes, absolutely. It's funny when I hear you guys talk, I'm like, oh, they need to know about this. So I love that. I agree with everything Ingrid, Lori, and Allison, all of you guys said. A couple things I'd like to share that I think sellers and buyers really need to realize is super important is hiring a licensed real estate agent. I mean, we see it all the time in title. They do for sale by owner. We do that, but we don't recommend it, right? We see a lot of issues with that. So if anyone's watching this and they're trying to get some advice on selling it themselves, do not recommend. I would recommend someone who knows what they're doing, like Lori said, knows the market. Most of the time, a real estate agent having one, you can sell your property for much higher than if you could on your own. So these are just factors that we see in title. The kind of the chaos that can come about too with trying to follow a contract and not having a licensed real estate agent there to guide you. So that is one tip I would advise buyers and sellers. Another thing is, get to know your property appraiser's website. A lot of people don't realize, they'll leave our office and someone will send them, a mailer saying, here for $100, $80, we'll give you the deed, to your property. Well, it's public record for the most part. In most counties, it's free. It's public record. It's in the the county property appraiser. I say Lake County because that's where we're mainly in. But get to know the property appraiser's website. It can show the taxes. It can show a lot about your home, the deed, the back sale of the property, just a lot of information. And I tell real estate agents that as well. Another thing is escrow. What I love about our company is you can do for the escrow, once we get an executed contract, buyers and sellers need to realize, mostly buyers, that we can do a mobile deposit for the escrow only. When it comes to the final closing day, money has to be wired. So I think buyers need to realize that. That's very important. It can't just be writing a check to us, getting a cashier's check. It needs to be wired. If they need, anyone needs a little more explanation on what our process is, what we do, I'm happy to answer any questions about that. A couple of fees, though, that I'd like to talk about is title insurance fee and doc stamps on the deed. Those are some of the biggest fees besides our settlement fee. Our settlement fees usually across the state with title companies. You've got your title insurance and your doc stamps are pretty regulated, so those should be the same. But your settlement fees are different, widely different at title companies. They can charge what they want. All of our girls here at Meets and Bounds that touch your file are licensed. So we like to tell people, if you're working with a title company, make sure people are licensed. You've got your real estate agent that's licensed. You've got your lender that's licensed. You want your title company, the people that touch your file, to be licensed as well and have just as much skin in the game as the other people do. But yeah, title insurance is boring until you need it, right? I don't really have a lot of, we hope you don't. But other than just trusting us, and not trusting us to the extent that you're just going to answer any email or text, we highly recommend that you contact us when it comes to your instructions. And when I say contact us, call us, pick up the phone, look at the phone number that's on the contract, or Google the company, the title company's name. Do not just call any number that's on an email. So that is huge. Fraud is rampant. I know we've all seen it. I know, Ingrid, I'm sure you've seen it as well. And we're seeing a lot of that. If you have a piece of land that you own and you're an owner of a piece of land, and it doesn't even have to be for sale.
There's a ring down here in South Florida. The FBI is actively pursuing because they're stealing foreign national identities and showing up to closing with almost identical pictures and the person's live. They're there with their passport and IDs, and they're cashing out on free and owned entity foreign properties to the tune of 1.5 million, 2 million, under 1 million. And it's a ring, so they're onto them.
Well, and that is why you need to have a title company that researches it. So we're going to make sure that before, but do your due diligence too. When someone's calling you and saying, can you list my land? Instead of you spending 3 to 6 months with them, this is more of a realtor thing. But what I wanted to recommend to sellers, if you have land somewhere and you haven't checked on it in a while, I would say check on it every few months. Make sure it's not listed. If it goes through a title company, it really shouldn't sell to a fraud, because we do make sure that it goes through extensive research. We make sure it doesn't get sold, but it has happened before. So if you are an owner of land, please check on that property. You can always reach out to me. I can help you as well.
What is it called? After 7 years of not maintaining the property?
Oh yeah, it's
you can own it by force.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I can't think of the name for it. But that's out of our control. That would be like a city or county thing, and there's still a little bit to that. But if someone's living in that property and they they're living and they're having mail come to it and no one sees them, they can own it somehow. And
all they have to do is maintain the property for 7 years and prove that property taxes have been paid. Some sort of maintenance has to be performed to the property for 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. But again, consult with the professionals, because it's very important. I can cut my own hair, but it doesn't always look great. And I can do my own nails, but it doesn't always look great. And if I have a foot problem, I don't go to the eye doctor for my foot problem. And that has proven more and more true in today's day and era when, the crimes are becoming a lot more sophisticated, Jolene, right? And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. It just blurts out of me. It's my
You're
worst.
fine. But you know what? You're right about that. And I think what buyers and sellers need to realize, and agents, to call the number. Like I said, not in an email. We had a fraud years ago where they had the same name and everything was the same almost, except for the phone number. And they called that number, and of course that person's gonna tell them the wire instructions. So you really need to look at the number that's on the contract that the realtor has written up, or Google the name. But we're really, really sticklers about that. And sometimes buyers and sellers get frustrated, and agents, and I get it, but it is really just to protect everyone involved. It really, really is. It's not to make life difficult.
And if things don't make sense, then there's a reason for your gut feeling being called a gut feeling.
Yeah.
So I for myself have had a client whose identity was being stolen, and I was doing the refinance while the thieves were trying to do the financing with the same lender. And my lender said, Ingrid, we just got done dealing with the fraud on this property. Are you sure your client is your client? I said, I swear I met this gentleman. Like, this is the real Miles Jennings was his name. The technology advantages and disadvantages, and this is where fraud is not just in our communities or our counties, or it is now global. And we put in the rules, they figure out how to break them, and they only need is one weakness, and they will get it. So do seek a professional advice. Even the deeds, I've seen deeds clouded because people decided to do their own quitclaim deed to avoid a fee with an attorney. So the mess is married, not married, single, not single, name spellings, and what a cluster.
So Jolene, to go back to what you were mentioning earlier regarding the land, I'm actually seeing that and hearing that a lot more frequently here in Florida. Any tips that you can tell anyone that currently own land, a piece of land, even not just here in Florida, but anywhere in the nation, how can they check? Let's say, would you recommend that they check quarterly? Go to realtor.com, go to their property appraiser website, make sure there's still anything outside of these things. What would you recommend?
I think those are all perfect. I really do. We do see it a lot in Florida because we have a lot of international, people that want to invest and buy here and stuff like that. So we do see a lot of it here, but those are all great. I say to get on Zillow every once in a while and just check, like you said, quarterly. You're just sitting there at your computer, look it up. You can call the property appraiser, and there might be something you can do on there. Don't quote me, but you might be able to put something on there that shows. Like I said, I'm not really sure, but I've heard different things, like maybe some kind of lock or something. But I would just call and just say, I'm just checking up on my property. I just want to make sure that you guys aren't seeing anything or hearing anything. Looking it up, like you said, on realtor.com, make sure it's not listed. But if they're going through a reputable title company, which I do believe most are, they should catch it. But yeah, it's just very, very scary. We're not seeing it with homes as much because usually people live there, right? And people go there and we take pictures and all that, but it does happen. There are people that have keys to these homes and they're taking pictures, and it's the craziest thing. So yeah, if you are an absentee owner of anything, it's always best to check up on that for sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, Lori, I want to go back to you for a little bit. What's the timeline that you will tell someone that's trying to sell their home from start to finish, getting the home prepared to listing, getting an offer, closing? What's a timeline, realistic timeline that you would tell someone to have in their mind?
In today's market, it could really take up to a year. And I've seen, a lot of colleagues that I have a lot of respect for that I know, that they've listed properties. It's not anything that they have done. It's just the market. The current market situation is, has a lot to do with why the home is not selling. It's not because they don't have a stellar agent or anything like that, or it just depends on the condition in the home. So if we have done all the things correctly that we have, because we can only control what we can control. Like, we can't control the buyers, right, Allison?
I agree.
We cannot control the buyers.
Oh,
The only thing that we can control as sellers and property is that we've taken care of what we can do, and that means that we've priced it correctly. That it's ready to show, and that we have everything ready to go. It's the ability to view it at any time is also not going to be a problematic. We're just ready to go. Everybody is set. That should be the driving force of the timetable, because there are homes that will not sell. We're seeing that. We're seeing expireds. We're seeing cancellations. We're seeing all of that, and it really is the market conditions is the reason they're not selling. So being very honest and putting that forward up front is going to help you, and also help them so that they know how to plan, so that they don't go out and buy a new construction and sign, hey, I'm going to be done with this house in 6 months. No, you may not. You may be facing some concerns there. So you want to be ready to go and have a professional be ready to advise you. And something Jolynn said made me think of this case that this person that wasn't licensed. First of all, it's a felony to sell real estate without a license. Let's just get that out there. And there was a lady who created a website. She was very savvy. She had a picture of a property, put it up there, and I think she netted like $400 and something thousand just accepting deposits from the general public. Now, we don't ask for deposits. Real estate agents, we do not take money.
We will never do that.
We send it over to friends like Jolynn. So the title it's all wired. And also be careful of wire threats and things. If when you go under contract, you're going to be introduced to who's going to be sending you paperwork, title. Don't open everything and anything. So you just want to be careful with that. And there's a lot of things I could share. We probably don't have time for it. But I mean, just specifically making sure that you hire, someone that knows what's going on in the market. And it's a privilege to have someone like you, Allison, because you handle a lot of buyers. So I get to tune into what they're thinking, and how we could work together to get things done for our sellers.
Absolutely. So a lot of our buyers, and I want to shift gears a little bit, since you're touching on the buyers right now, Lori. A lot of our buyers, they just have enough money to cover their closing costs and down payment. Some of them don't even have down payment. Okay. So with the new changes since July 1st, a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers, they don't want to pay buyer's agent commission. What would you say to your sellers that don't want to pay the buyer's agent commission? And this is a two-part question. That don't want to pay the buyer's agent commission. Would you encourage them to do that? That way the house don't sit on the market longer. And then also, what would you say to your seller that want to go with an agent that's going to charge them 1% commission, and they can use their phones to take pictures to put online for everyone to see? For me, I think like what we do, we get a professional photographer go in and take professional photos, because everyone, they will start buying with what they see first, their eyes, right? So speak to that two-part question a little bit for me, Lori. How would you advise your sellers?
Right. Well, the first thing is they get to offer what they would like to offer, and you have to go along with that. That's the rule. That's what it is. Another thing is that you have to see where their motivation is. Like, if they want to participate, that's up to them. It does go, smoothly if they do offer some sort of compensation, which, we can't really talk of that because of our lawsuit. So, I mean, just gently, ask them what they want to do. And a lot of times we have a lot of respect for our buyer's agents, and they submit their offer and they include, with what they are willing to accept, and that's totally up to them. So it's very negotiable. Everything's negotiable. But if you don't ask, you don't get. It's just that rule.
I agree.
So, and it's best to ask the first time, right? Than having to, negotiate the rest. So it's really up to the seller. It's their property. So they get to dictate on how they want to address that.
Can I help you on that statement, since I'm not part of the lawsuit, but I support you? I like to cut my own grass for the simplicity of the exercise, right? And the other day I was doing it. I was cutting my own grass, and I realized how hard it is to trim the edges, and why I really do enjoy having the landscaper do it. And the same goes to having a professional represent you in the sale of their property and provide you that service. It is a service, and it should be a white glove service, and you should feel very much good with that fee, or that compensation. And the fee, and it's not even a fee, it's compensation for service and experience. And anything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable, and everything is negotiable. So it should always be a meeting point where common ground is met and everyone's happy. So I support you on having these conversations. And Redfin or whomever is trying to list it on their own, or buyers, for sale on their own, it's tough. There's a lot of legalities and a lot more than just signing a contract and selling a property. So you want to make sure that you're protected. It's like having your toolbox full of all of your tools. So, and that's what realtors and professionals bring to the table.
All right, awesome. So I'll just go around the room. We're just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. We have the last 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and start with Jolynn. Any tips that you want to leave with our buyers or sellers, anyone that's watching?
Well, I know Lori had asked me a little bit ago about Lady Bird Deed. So just, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't claim to be. I don't play one on TV, nothing like that. So all I can recommend, though, is there are things out there to help you protect your property, right? From a divorce, from a death, from a whatever. Contact a lawyer, get that information you need, because there are things out there that can make the process much smoother. All right. So I hope that helps, Lori. But yes, there are things that you can do to make it a lot easier. And we can chit chat later too about that. But I just wanted to let you know about that. And then, of course, like I said, communication. We communicate with our clients. We want to hear from them. They're going to hear from us. So be prepared. Trust us enough, but not too much, right? Because of fraud. Do your due diligence as far as buyers and sellers. Know how you want to take title. If you need help with that, we can help you. We can help advise you on lawyers to talk to. That's really it. I mean, like I said, title's pretty, we are kind of the hub, and all of you guys are the spokes, right? And everyone comes to us for the closing. And as long as everyone brings in their information and everyone's on the ball and we're on the ball, then it's a nice, smooth process. So that's really it.
And Jolynn, if anyone would like to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? Do you have a phone number, social media following?
It's Meets and Bounds Title. So it's METES and Bounds, BOUNDS Title. And then my number is 407-625-7419.
Thank you. And then I'll go over to Lori. Any last tips?
That would be just the way I started is patience. This is going to be a game of patience. And you just want to make sure that you communicate everything up front and be realistic. Hey, your home may not sell. Provide the statistics and the information that you have, equipped with a great marketing plan, and you have to believe by faith that you're going to be able to sell their home. So just being partnered up with a real estate professional that knows the market. That would be my advice. Mm-hmm.
And where can they find you if someone would like to list their home for sale, Lori?
I am at keyclassicrealty.com. So it's the name, keyclassicrealty.com, and I'm at Lori McKeeby.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And then Ingrid, we'll go ahead and finish it off with you.
Thank you. So you can reach me at miamipmf.com or call me, and I'm on IG at Ingrid Clear to Close. My advice is, if you desire your home and to be a homeowner, envision yourself in your home and savings. When you go to spend the dollar, ask yourself, is it a need or a want? And would it be better in the savings column? Homeownership is possible for everyone, but you must put behind that dream your push, and that is your savings to make that come true. And then with the team, you'll enjoy your path and journey to homeownership. So I'd love to help you. My name is Ingrid Escaño. I can be reached at 786-554-8830. And thank you for having us here, Allison, Lori, Jolene. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for being here. So my tips that I always want to share with everyone: before you start looking for a home, get pre-approved with a lender. Don't start looking for homes, fall in love with the home, and then you want to try to get pre-approved. That is the worst thing that you will do. Heartbreaks happen because a lot of times we start a little bit higher than sometimes what we get pre-approved for. And, we always want to get pre-approved and understand what your monthly payment will be. And then you set realistic expectation. Then you go out with your realtor. That's where I typically suggest that we start. And then create a realistic list of items that you're willing to compromise on, and then your must have. Okay. So 2 things you definitely want to make sure you do: get pre-approved, know your monthly payment, and then also have your must-have list, your list that you're willing to compromise on. Once you have that list, then you're ready to go out and start looking. Thank you so much for tuning in today. My name is Allison James Ellis. Follow us, Ellis Group by Key Classic Realty. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're on all social media platforms. Look forward to seeing you next month again. The next webinar will be on August 27th, 1 p.m. sharp again. Thank you guys. Call me if you ever need me. My number is 954-856-4339. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And ladies, thank you so much again for joining. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.